What's going on, guys? Sorry if you hear a little bit of background noise. I've got my kids here for spring break, but I did want to give you Cleanspark's Bitcoin mining update. We've got a little bit of good, a little bit of not so good. The market's definitely got a negative reaction to it, but let's look right into it. Give me your comments down below what you think about Cleanspark's mining update, and let's take a look. So first, let's go over this press release. Cleanspark on this month mined nearly 600 Bitcoin, 598 Bitcoin, and they did give an update on their 50 megawatt Washington expansion. First, some words from Zach Bradford, the CEO. Our approach to proprietary mining gives us substantial control and flexibility over our destiny, and the progress on our Washington expansion is a perfect example. The 50 megawatt expansion is on schedule. The machines have already been purchased and shipping is expected to commence this month. Once these machines are racked and the expansion is energized, our hash rate is expected to increase to about 8.7, giving us substantial progress towards our calendar year-end goal of about 16 exahash. So that's good. They reinstated their year-end goal. That's nice to hear an update on that they still do expect 16. But moving on, in this environment, a miner that's not growing is falling behind. As hash rate grows, we also need to grow. Growth takes substantial capital, just as it does in any commodities-based business, especially in the scaling stage. As we scale, we intend to continue to use all capital levers available to us. Now, anyone wondering why they sold off? This is probably partly why. They mention using equity and Bitcoin. Equity means dilution. But he goes on to say, carefully balancing both to provide the highest rate of return for our shareholders. We are making the most of the bear market so that we are in position to take advantage of the next bull market once it inevitably emerges. And I personally believe, this is a side note, anecdotal, but I do believe we're at the beginning of this new bull market, but time will tell. Now, looking at their actual numbers, they mined 598 Bitcoin in March. So far for the year, this new year, they have mined 1,871. They did increase their holdings as of this update. Now they have nearly 200. So they added almost 100 to their balance sheet. And they did convert 502 Bitcoin. Now, you might be wondering why this specific numbers. Why did they sell more, or why didn't they hold more? We're going to go in that in a second, but let's check this out here. The company funded growth and operations through the sale of 502 Bitcoin at an average of approximately 24,800 per Bitcoin. Sales of Bitcoin equated to proceeds of approximately 12.4 million. Their March daily Bitcoin mined averaged 19.29 and reached a high of 20.25. You'll notice that month over month, we've actually been seeing a decrease in daily Bitcoin production. This is due to the increased difficulty levels for these miners. As Bitcoin's risen in price, many of these Bitcoin miners have suddenly emerged, which definitely adds to the competition, which gives them less of a payout. But I personally see the strategy here, and we'll go over that in just a second. We have one more thing left on this mining update, and then we're going to do a little math here. But they do give an update on their Washington expansion. The Washington expansion is a passively cooled data center consisting of 4 primary buildings. Once fully complete, the expansion will hold about 15,000 S19 Pros. The total capacity in Washington is expected to be 86 megawatts, the majority of which is sourced from low carbon on-grid energy. Building 1 is complete and ready for miners. Racks are being installed in Building 2. The foundation was recently poured for Building 3, and concrete deliveries are imminent for Building 4. And Scott Garrison, their vice president, says this about their expansion. We are on schedule in Washington. 1 building is completely done, ready for miners, with the other buildings in various stages of construction, each advancing according to schedule. Our teams and partners, which include the utility, city, and various construction firms, are working hand in hand for the build. I'm so proud of what we're accomplishing on the ground in Washington as we work to build some of the most efficient Bitcoin mining infrastructure in North America. Now, I did post this in my Discord earlier, but I'll also leave a link down below so you can access their mining update yourself. But next up, let's take a look at what they might actually see for revenue on this quarter. We do have January, February, and March now, so we got an idea of what their revenue is looking like. It might fluctuate by a small amount, but just seeing what they sold their Bitcoin for definitely gives a glimpse into the upcoming earnings. And I did add their revenue for January, February, and March. They are looking at right around 42.2 million. And let's get some context on that. So what their estimate for this quarter is right around 43 million. However, I think I see their goal here. I think I see that they're trying to add to their Bitcoin as much as they could. They nearly doubled what they hold in Bitcoin right now. And I think their real goal here was to see a year over year, at least not a drop in revenue. And I think we are seeing that. Looking at the year over year quarter, they reported 41.6 million. Being that it's 42 million, we'll likely see this beat. So we will see a very slight increase year over year in revenue. And moving over to future quarters, it's going to look more and more hittable, especially with Bitcoin in the 28s and potentially going higher. As we get this earnings, we will likely see a slight beat in yearly revenue and a nice beat in quarterly revenue. Nice growth there. And moving forwards into next earnings, we are going to be seeing some nice year over year increase in revenue again. And this was, like I've said before, a kind of pivotal point for Cleanspark. Instead of seeing consistent drops in revenue quarter over quarter, we're starting to see increasing revenue, and I have every reason to believe that we're still going to see more and more increases in revenue. As you guys saw with this mining update, they sold at an average right around 24,000. Now that Bitcoin's in the 28s, of course it could pull back, but that just sets us up already into our next earnings in the right footing. Remember our January update, the first month that's going to be reported in this quarter. They sold at an average of 19,000 per Bitcoin. So looking at the first month into our next earnings, we're already at a great start compared to this earnings that they're about to report. This earnings that they're about to report is like that turnaround point that I mentioned, where we start seeing year over year increases in revenue. Now that's just my expectation. But let me know what you guys think about this mining update. The market doesn't seem to like it very much. It's down 4% today. And in my eyes, these execs had a clear strategy here. They wanted to not see a decline in revenue year over year, and they also wanted to show that they are adding to their Bitcoin holdings as it was starting to get pretty low. So in my eyes, this puts them in a pretty good spot, and I do believe that we've seen this pivot already, and earnings should be looking better and better. And of course, as they get more of these sites online, they did say building 1 is ready for miners. We might see a nice increase in exahash moving forwards, and this may be reflected in their next earnings coming up, the quarter that we're currently in now. But since the chart's behind me, we still look bearish. EMAs are all falling down. We are not in a bullish order on the EMAs, but looking at the moving averages, or MAs, in my eyes, we're getting very close to a flip or a golden cross. And I think it's an important time to continue to watch this company and keep a close eye on the moving averages. Once these do flip, I think we're gonna start seeing an explosive growth in price on Cleanspark's chart. We did see this for Bitcoin. We saw a golden cross, and after that we just started absolutely ballooning on Bitcoin. We are nearly double up from our lows on Bitcoin, and I think it's a matter of time until we're doubled up on Cleanspark from looking at its lows. But let me know what you guys think about this mining update. Some would say it's a bit negative. I think it's pretty good. I think they're right in line with their revenue expectation, and it is good to see that they added to their balance. But of course, mentions of dilution scared Wall Street a bit. But this really wasn't all that surprising. It is something to be expected. They are still in the scaling phase, and all their effort is going to pay off. When you look at them in comparison to Riot and Mara, yes, Riot and Mara have a drastically higher amount of Bitcoin held, but looking at Mara, they have a ton of debt, and their Bitcoin held doesn't even amount to a third of their debt hardly. And looking at these companies from an exahash perspective, Cleanspark is catching up to these companies, while still being anywhere from 3 to 5 times smaller in market cap. But let me know what you guys think. Thanks as always. It's time for breakfast here, so I'll talk to you guys in a bit.